As of writing the script, there are a ton of remakes out there and much more on their way. I know everyone has their own backlogs they need to get through, but I can firmly say that the Resident Evil 4 remake is a game that should skip the line and be played immediately. I only played the original for a few hours. I think I stopped shortly after making it to the church. If I'm being honest, I can't remember exactly why I stopped playing it, but it was probably for another game. Although I dropped the game, I still had a ton of fun with it, and I can gladly recommend it to anyone. When the remake was announced, I was very excited since I knew Capcom wouldn't even dare mess this one up. After wasting every single minute of free time I had on this game, I have a lot to say. Some good, some bad, and some ugly. The first thing I want to get out the way is the story. It follows Leon Kennedy, an ex-cop turned secret government agent who has been assigned to find the president's missing daughter, Ashley, in a village in the middle of nowhere. Things quickly become crazy and then Leon says, "Oh no, these residents are evil 4. The main core of the story revolves around Leon having to rescue Ashley and get her home safe. This means having to get a cure for the virus she caught, along with having to defeat hundreds if not thousands of cult zombies. Obviously there's way more to the story, but I'm not gonna sit here and talk about all of it. Instead, I'll just bring up parts that I liked or disliked. During the first few hours of the game, you'll meet Luis. Luis is a scientist who used to work on the virus, and he's trying to make things right by helping Leon find a cure for said virus. Luis pops up pretty often, but not to the point where I care about him too much. During a cutscene where Leon and Luis are talking, Luis gets hit with a knife and then dies due to his injuries. The way the game handles his death makes me think I was supposed to take an emotional hit when it happened. But to be honest, I didn't really care. Every time he appeared, I feel like it was just to make small talk or just to hang around. I didn't really grow attached to his character, and to be honest, I think they just mishandled him. If he had a bit more screen time, then obviously I would see myself being like, "Oh my gosh, no!" I had a bigger reaction when Mike the helicopter guy died during the last few chapters of the game. A guy that was around for less time than Luis by a lot. One thing I did like a lot was Leon and Ashley's relationship improving as time went on. I think they did very well, since at the beginning, Ashley was very distrustful of Leon, but by the end of the story, she mentions how she wants to become a secret agent and save the world. One thing I don't know how to feel about is the pieces of text lying around throughout the game. I get it, I really do. It's meant to add more world building and lore and all of this cool stuff, but at some point, it just gets a little silly. For the most part, I really did try and read most of them, but I stopped when I found one that went something like this. "We have created a creature that is very dangerous and it would be pretty bad if it escaped." And then the next page would only say something like, "It escaped." I'm not even making this up. I don't even think I could make this up if I wanted to. The story and characters for this game are pretty good. I do have some things that I'm picky about, but for the most part, it was pretty great. Now let's talk about the main thing. The story was the fries, but the gameplay is the big, meaty, juicy burger. Okay, let's talk about some weapons. This game has a ton of them. You can unlock them by doing a ton of things, either by finding them lying around, buying them in the shop, or by doing challenges like beating the game in the hardest difficulty. Since this game has a ton of weapons, I wasn't able to use every single one of them, but the ones I did use were pretty fun and powerful. My personal favorite was the broken butterfly along with the riot gun. Those guns absolutely destroyed anything in my path. Also, the hunting rifle from very early on was incredibly fun to use. I liked quick scoping a lot, even though I missed most of my shots. Since we are talking about weapons, I think now would be a fabulous time to talk about resource management. I'm gonna be honest with you, I suck at resource management. During the first few hours of the game, I was always stocked up with ammo and HP items. But when I reached the halfway mark of the game, I was pretty much running on hopes and dreams. It seemed like I was always running out of ammo or was just barely hanging on with my 1 pixel of HP. I'm not gonna sit here and blame the game and say it's the reason I was low on resources and died countless times. In fact, I pretty much soft-locked myself in chapter 10, specifically the sewer part, because I had no ammo and no HP, and I couldn't get through without changing the difficulty from normal to assisted. I think the way this game handles resource management was pretty great because it made finding ammo and herbs more hype. I can't tell you how many times I was excited to find 3 bullets for the handgun I was carrying. I will admit that the assisted mode does kinda kill that system since you're always finding a ton of stuff in every barrel or crate, but it still happens every now and then. Speaking of assisted mode, since I had to play the last half of the game in it, I do have some things to say. For the most part, it was pretty fun not having to worry about an enemy taking half of my HP off with one hit. But I don't know, I think it does kill any horror element that was supposed to be there. I know I'm complaining about the assisted mode assisting the player, it sounds crazy, I know. Although, you know what was crazy? The boss fights. This game had a good handful of them, but I'd say only a few were truly memorable. The giant fight was pretty cool because, you know, it's a giant. I also like that the wolf you saved earlier makes an appearance and helps you out. The first Jack Krauser fight kicked ass. Both of them just fighting it out with knives was so cool. It reminded me of the Deathstroke fight in Arkham Origins. I also did like his second fight, the part where he makes you run an obstacle course, but in my opinion, you can't really beat the first one. The final boss fight was also pretty damn cool. I expected the leader of this cult to be strong, but even my expectations were destroyed. I know this might sound picky, but I did kind of dislike his second phase where he turns into an orange ball. I guess I'm just used to boss fights where the second phase turns up the heat, so I was a bit disappointed with this lame ending to such a cool boss fight. In general, I'd say the fights in this game were done pretty well. One feature that I really did like was having to take care of Ashley while you were just walking around. I'm used to just having a fight for myself, but having to make sure Ashley didn't get kidnapped was a nice change of pace. I'm also really glad the game had parts where she wasn't with you, because although I really do like the mechanic, it can be a bit too much at times. During the part with the fountains with black water where you have to protect Ashley while she spins the valves, she got kidnapped, but I immediately killed the cult guy, but for some reason Ashley ended up T-posing and couldn't move. That's the only bug I face in this 15-hour game, so I can't complain too much even if I wanted to. Speaking of Ashley, I absolutely loved her chapter where she explores the library while being chased by the weeping angels wearing knight armor. I thought it was really well done, and usually I do hate when games make you switch from a strong main character to a weak side character, like Spider-Man to Mary Jane in the PS4 game. But I think it was done flawlessly here. I did kind of dislike that immediately after you free Leon, she gets kidnapped. It kind of made me think, what was the point of that? Let's talk about the shop for a bit, since it is a pretty important part of the game. I really liked how the weapons that you missed during an earlier chapter would show up in the shop. If it wasn't for this little mechanic, then I would have gone the whole game without a shotgun. One thing I desperately wish for is that the shopkeeper would sell ammo. Every time I saw him, I hoped he had any form of ammunition, but instead I was met with a deep sadness comparable to dropping your meal on the floor. This game was very forgiving when it came to saving, to the point where I didn't save until I finished a chapter at the results screen. I never felt like I had gone too long without saving, which I very much appreciated, Speaking of the chapter result screens, I like these a lot, okay? I like seeing how ass I was at shooting standing enemies, or how many times I died in a single 40-minute chapter. And lastly, I don't know where to put this final part, so I decided to put it near the end, and it's mainly my complaint of games putting extra outfits behind paywalls. There's a ton of cool suits for Leon and Ashley that you can't unlock unless you open up that wallet and pay up. I'm gonna be honest, I hate this decision, okay? Since it probably would have been easier to put these costumes behind a challenge or something. I don't know, I just felt like bringing that up since it's very common nowadays. Now, what did I think of the Resident Evil 4 remake? I think this game was an absolute banger, okay? I enjoyed it from beginning to end, so much so that I am thinking of going for all the achievements. Anyways, yeah, this game was super fun. I recommend it to everyone out there. Should I play the other games in the series, or should I focus on another franchise like Devil May Cry or even something else? Please let me know, but until then, take care of yourself and I will see you in the next one.